Is that any better for you guys?
Any better? Hello?
Shell saying still quiet.
What? Am I gonna have to shout all night?
Oh my god, ow!
I just sit this close to the speaker, shall I?
Is that any better when she's close up?
Hello.
Shell's asking if she can you turn up your volume, but then yeah, that's more for hearing, isn't it?
In-call volume's up, that volume's up. So I don't know.
Have you got ooh, ooh, jeez. Frozen. Hey Ethan, how are you? Right guys, please share the live. If you oh, there you go, you're back.
Yeah, no, I was looking at my settings. Have you seen that message there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Um.
Oh, that's better already, is it?
How?
Okay, cool. Beck's
Is
saying
that?
that's better.
That's good.
Apparently. So I just get a big close up of my face.
Yay.
Look
Right,
at that.
guys.
I told you I'd lost the plot.
That's all good. Right, anyone
I'm
over
surprised it scared you, Beck.
anyone in the live, please share, 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 and like the live if you can. People are saying it's much better now.
I had no idea what happened because I didn't change anything.
Share where you can, please. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much, Toby. And hi.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, I'll be turning my comments off when we get started.
Cool. Well, I got 10 people already in the room here.
Coolio. You gonna hop over there, Beck?
Hey,
Hey,
Puffy, how are
Dawn.
you? Anyone on Hollie's side, come on, pop over here.
Comments are now off.
Awesome. Just as
So
a
yeah.
reminder, guys, any questions that you want to ask Holly through me, please put them in capitals. I'll let you know if we get on a part of a story about Holly where it may be trigger warnings potentially. So we'll take it step at a time. Right.
Yes, we were both early.
I know.
Oh.
Right. So shall we start, Holly? You ready?
Wine?
In the hot seat.
Which side do you want?
So Bex just wanted to say thank you for all your messages to Evelyn. You're welcome, Bex. It was absolutely our pleasure to do so.
Yeah, no worries, Beck, darling.
And I hope Evelyn's had a lovely day celebrating with you guys. Cool. Right. So let's bring it on. So Holly, let's start at the very beginning, shall we?
Well, on the 25th of December 1985, my mum didn't get a chance to have her Christmas dinner. And then I wasn't born until the 26th of December. So start as you mean to go on, stubborn and lazy. In my opinion. Yes, I was born and raised in Cornwall, lived in Bodmin until I was 13. My mum was divorced from my stepdad, from my dad even, before I can even remember living with him. I've only ever got one picture. I don't even think we've got that anymore from the time when he was living with us. Me. This explains a lot. Sat in bed with his glasses on and a beer bottle in my hand. I was 2.
One way to start.
Used to go around dipping my dummy in people's glasses in the pub.
I think I did that as well. But then I'm German, so I have an excuse. So.
I'm English, mate. Well, no, I'm
True.
Cornish. Secondary English. Indeed. And then my mum was married to my stepdad. I do remember them getting married because I remember these god-awful wet bridesmaids dresses that we had to wear. Imagine the whole fluffy, big crap bit in your grandma's flowery curtains.
Sounds lovely.
Good job I was only, 6, 7, 8, something like that. But that's the earliest thing that I remember as far as my stepdad goes, and then he was from Essex. So yeah, finished primary school in Cornwall, in Bodmin. That's where I started playing all my sports. So I started off doing my netball in primary school. We didn't. If I didn't fall over during the match, we wouldn't win. So the team took to tripping me up, which was good fun.
Oh no!
But it worked because every time I didn't fall over, we didn't win. So it was almost like I was our mascot in a weird kind of way. Bit of an old one. And then secondary school, started secondary school in September 97. Bodmin Comp. Year 7, pretty uneventful. Usual intro years, getting to know people from all different schools. Year 8 started. And this is where I personally believe my depression and anxiety started getting embedded in my head. Not consciously, but subconsciously. Because my supposed best mate at the time used to hit me round the head every single day. And then one day, I don't know what happened, whether I just snapped or whether I just had enough or what, I hit her back. Which I felt terrible for afterwards, even though it was self-defense in a weird kind of way. She ended up going home, being off school for a couple of days with a migraine. I was then completely ostracised. Told you I was going to use that word. Completely ostracised as an outcast in school. Nobody was talking to me, and if they were, it was only abuse. And at that point in time, at the time, I don't know whether it didn't really affect me consciously, or whether because it did affect me so consciously, I've kind of blocked it. Because I can't remember feelings from it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be one of those two. Either it didn't affect me, which I genuinely think it actually did, looking back in hindsight, and I've just blocked it. The actual feelings. I remember being sat in the tutor room because we had to break times, and ours was an art room, and having paint and clay and everything thrown at me on a daily basis. So I'd had to go through God knows how many school uniforms and have my hair cut God knows how many times, and it was abuse, really. It wasn't just bullying, it was abuse at that point. Sorry, excuse me. And it's how fickle kids can be. It's terrible, because by the end of the year, I was then moving to Dorset at the end of that school year, and when they all found out about that, which was about 2 weeks before we were due to leave, everybody loved me again. And it was just
how kids' minds can change.
Oh, it's just does my head in. And people wonder why people end up with mental health issues. Because this is more, I would say it's the parenting. It is to an extent. It's not entirely. because you can't
Mm.
control your kids 24/7, so it has an element to it, but it's just, oh, it's sickening. It's sickening, and I'm so glad that my niece doesn't have any of that at all.
Yeah.
She's really well set. She's 13 now, and I know it sounds weird, but it's almost like she's living my youth for me again.
Hmm.
It's weird, but because she likes her sports and stuff and everything, well, her swimming and her tennis, but yeah. And that was the last of my childhood in Cornwall, apart from going to visit my gran every once in a blue moon, which it was once in a blue moon and has got less and less frequent, which is really disheartening, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. So then, September 1st, 99, got moved to Dorset. My mum and stepdad worked for a big lighting company down in Cornwall, and they got poached by basically the biggest lighting supplier in Europe, who are based in Dorset, Gillingham, North Dorset. And at the time, it was just like, okay, moving is what it is. Can't do anything about it. Just working on with it. Later on in life, probably in the last 5 years, I actually found out that's not the reason we moved. The reason we moved is my stepdad had actually cheated on my mum and had a kid with somebody else, and his choice was we either move and you have nothing to do with the kid, or that's it. So that was apparently the reason why we moved. I say at the time, I was none the wiser to that. I was just starting a new school,
Yeah.
which for me wasn't too bad because the school I went into, we had a lot of middle schools around the area, so they went up to year 9, or they finished in year 8 and they started their secondary school in year 9. So I wasn't the only one joining the school at that point in time. So I
Yeah.
wasn't completely new, which for me it wouldn't have been too bad anyway. So a really weird reflection just come across my face then. It's there. It's off my. It's a sunset coming through the trees across the road.
Oh, it's fine.
No, because
It's
that's the
giving
road
you
out
an
front.
angel look.
Well, they got that wrong, didn't they? It's angelic. Mm-mm. That's why I've got the red, see? And only little bit of white. Lots of red, little bit of white. Got a little bit of angelic in me. Um, yeah, I take the piss out of myself now, so no fucker else can get there first. That's another
Well, there
side
you go.
effect of bullying.
No, that's very
That's a
true.
side effect of bullying. But yeah. Before you ask, it's Appleade, not wine. Where'd I put the bottle? Sorry.
What for proof?
Yeah, proof or it didn't happen.
There we go.
Um,
I'm not very loud now. Is that any better, Lynn?
yeah, I think your
Yeah.
mic was squashed between your boobs.
I don't know. I don't have much boobs to be squished between, but okay.
Oh, bless. Yeah, no, yes, we moved. I started school. My sister had it a bit tougher because she was starting in year 8 rather than year 9, so she was starting on her own. But she actually did better in school than what I did as far as socially goes. And she's fine now. She's never had any issues throughout school from that side of things. She's had it more from the academic side of things, but
Yeah.
me, didn't have any academic issues. Thankfully, this thing here is a sponge, so I can just absorb pretty much everything. I'll see it the once and absorb it, or hear it the once and absorb it. So,
So
yeah,
Lynn's asking, did you have any friends for support?
not really. No, no, I've been pretty much. I wasn't in the in crowd. I wasn't in the out crowd. I was in that kind of middle ground where nobody really paid attention to you. So it was almost like you were ignored.
Yeah.
And that's probably why when I was in school, apart from doing my studies, which I didn't do much of, um, I ploughed myself into sports.
And what sports did
Literally
you do?
every free bit of time was for sports. Well, I continued on my netball from primary school, but then that became second and third fiddle to hockey and rugby. So hockey was my big thing throughout school, my real big thing. I literally played hockey till the cows came home. 3 nights a
Mm.
week, I think it was, a couple of lunch times a week. And I've played every single position on the pitch. I actually started off as centre forward, gradually worked my way back, spent a bit of time as sweeper, and then spent probably the remaining years of my school life as goalkeeper. So from year 10 upwards as goalkeeper.
Mm.
I was a kind of an exception to most rules when it comes to goalkeepers, like I am in most things. Um, in the fact that because, well, especially in my year group, because I played for my year group plus the 2 years above me, um, I there wasn't very many people who could take short corners successfully. So in my goalie kit, I would sprint to the other end of the pitch, take the short corner, sprint all the way back to then potentially stop a goal coming in. So that was always funny.
That must have kept you fit.
Oh, I was actually relatively fit, especially throughout school and everything like that. I wasn't athletic in build or anything like that because I mean I've got quite a big build in general as far as bone structure and stuff goes. But I wasn't necessarily an athletic build, but I was definitely, as far as fitness levels go, fit. I still had podge. Probably weighed my least ever in my whole life when I was at uni, to be fair.
Mm.
Um, but that's a whole other story again. Um, yeah, and the hockey probably brings me the most happiest memories from my
Yeah.
school life. And I don't know if that's because of success or because I just felt good because of how the sport made me, or the teamwork because of it. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily have called them close friends or anything like that I could have gone to
Mm.
with problems, but I could definitely have, like I say, I could have gone to them and gone, right, let's go play hockey, right, let's go do this, like let's go do that. But that kind of team bonding type stuff, um, and that proved really, really evident when in 2000, so I was in year 10 at the time, I was playing goalkeeper for the year 11 team, and we had beaten the whole of Dorset, all the different schools in Dorset, to actually represent Dorset at the Millennium Youth Games. So, for those
Amazing.
of you who don't know, the Millennium Youth Games was a big event held in 2000 down in Southampton, where they basically all the school age events. So, your football, your rugby, your hockey, there was tennis, oh, badminton, anything you can think of that you could possibly do in school was on down there. So it was like our own mini Olympics type thing for the Millennium.
Mm.
And we went down there to represent Dorset. We were down there for a week in total, I think it was. And we we were actually doing really, really well. Um, Lynn's just asked a question. Who else is supposed to be modding?
Ben.
Um,
Anyhow, you were saying about the
yeah.
competition?
Um, um, yeah, so, and we were doing really, really, really well, and we were in the final knockout stages before the final. No, we were into the. Who? Four is the semis. Quarterfinals. I had to work out number of teams then. And we actually got knocked out in the quarterfinals by the eventual winners. who were Northern Ireland, and we finished 8th out of the whole of the UK. It's a hell of a game. Hell of a game. We were 0-0 throughout all. So chuffed, didn't let a goal in. It's like, yes, come on. And then we ended up getting a penalty flick awarded. And we've got some really, really, really good penalty takers in our team. And unfortunately, our captain wasn't one of them. But she was a bit of a glory hunter, unfortunately, and decided to go and try and take it. And she missed by a blooming nautical mile. So it finished 0-0 at the end of full time. So we had to go to penalties. And so there's a lot of pressure on my shoulders at that point. Penalty flicks. I not only have to be in goal taking them because of my flicking ability. This sounds really, really wrong if you're just joining this conversation.
I wasn't going to go there.
I went there. My brain did. And so not only was I trying to defend them, I also would take one as well as part of the first 5. And they had a really good goalkeeper as well, so it ended up 0-0 at the end of the first 5, so we had to go into sudden death. And it was dire. It was either the second or third flick. So save the first. I was defending first, and then they were second, obviously. And I would. So I saved the first one, they missed, and then either we missed or they saved it, one or the other. Same happened for the second one. And the third one came along, and she did something completely different to what the rest of her team did. And it just threw me, and I literally missed it by that. My glove missed it by that, and it was like, ah! So then I had to sit and wait for our player to try and take the flick, and it's just like, fuck's sake. I couldn't even watch. Could not even watch. And took it and missed. And you know, you can hit when you're doing a team sport or anything like that, you know your team's noise. And I knew that wasn't my team's noise. And I was just like, oh, my heart sank. Absolutely sank. And the rest of us, apart from our captain, all looked at each other and went, because we knew that if during the game she hadn't been that egotistical, it could have been completely different.
Yeah.
Because she I mean, it's nothing detrimental to her. She's a good hockey player, but she just didn't have the flicking ability that we had 2 nigh on, just shy off England players in our team who could take penalty flicks. God, my friend just doing my head in. That's why I keep playing with it. It just could have been completely different. So we did the whole good sportsmanship thing, go around, shake everybody's hand and all this kind of stuff. Well done, good luck, carry on, etc., etc. Afterwards, however, I couldn't even go and watch the lads play. I was that annoyed. What are you laughing at?
Ben. He's in. Ben's around.
Okay. He's in trouble.
Don't worry, Ben. I've got the question, but I'm letting Hollie finish the story before I ask
it. Yeah, so I then sat there, and I couldn't go and watch the lads play because our lads hockey team was there as well, and I was literally in tears for 2 hours, blaming myself for letting everybody down. And I have got a big, massive issue with failing people and letting people down. And that, again, is another one of the things in my head that throws my anxiety completely off. If I'm worrying about letting people down, you can see in my face and you can hear it in my voice that I get so antsy with it. And I can actually get quite nasty because of it. And it's I don't like it when it's like that. But it's just one of those things.
Did it start from like a young age? You kind of not wanting to fail others? Was there something?
I think I don't remember not being like it. I don't remember it not being like it, and I don't know if that's because I'm a lot like my mum in the fact that always thinking of everybody else. And then my brain's then taken that to one further extreme and gone, okay, so you're thinking about everybody else. You can't let them down either. But yes, it's always been in my head, and I'm better than I was with it, but it'll never be something that I shift.
Feels like it's kind of part of you.
Yeah, if I lose that, I'm not me anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's taking away my thought of care of others. Trying to make sure that made sense.
No, it makes sense to me. Let me know in the comments if it doesn't, if we need to explain. But I've just had a kind of side question from Shell. She's asked, did you have any love interests while you were in school?
Nope, I did not get anywhere with any guy until I was 18. So yeah, no, I was, and I don't know if that's because I mean throughout school, because I didn't have male relations as such. The whole lesbian word got thrown out there and all this kind of stuff because I was so into my sports and everything as well. And literally, sports was my life. It made me feel good, so I did it. And I didn't really think or worry about anything else. Well, most of the people I got on with in school were blokes, as opposed to the girls, because the girls were just bitchy as freaking hell and did my head in. So I don't necessarily think, not that I didn't think about it possibly, but you guys like go through your typical, I've got this crush on whoever and so, but nothing to write home about as such. But so that didn't help the bullies. Well, it helped the bullies. It didn't help me.
Yeah, kids can be cruel at times, can't they? So Lynn is asking, what would you tell your teenage self?
What would I tell my teenage self? So secondary school upwards. Choose your friends better. Other than that, do what you did. And study more.
I'm going to study more. Yes, we'll study more. It's a really important thing to do. In regards to kind of going back to your sports thing, I know you were telling me that you hit a record of some sort. You wanted to explain that?
Yeah, with my hockey. That was hockey again. Again, like I say, all of my happy memories come from hockey throughout school. It's great. God, it's painful, this memory and this record, but it was worth it. So we were playing a game against Blandford at home, and the team from Blandford actually had an England player. The only player in their team was from England, and she actually had the national record for the fastest hit in England. And my record was I stopped it. Yes. But the painful part about that was the only part of your body, for those who don't know what a goalkeeper's kit looks like in hockey, the only part of your body which isn't padded, your inner thigh. That's the part of my body that I stopped it with. Not this hollow thing. No, my inner thigh. And a hockey ball, that size. Bruise, that size. And I still ended up with a mark like that on my leg for about 4 years after.
Well, I think if you had to choose between your head and your inner thigh, I think I'd go for the inner thigh somehow.
Well, considering that had a big ass helmet on it.
Yeah. No, that's true.
And I'm used to getting knocked in the head. Solo. Don't do that again.
Let me hurt. I could hear it from here.
Yeah, I said it's hollow. But yeah, no, I love my hockey. And then I was doing athletics as well. Loved my athletics. The only thing that annoyed me is there wasn't a 400-meter hurdles in school athletics. And then my knees started playing up. Unfortunately, as I got towards year 11, sixth form time. Didn't help that the athletics track had potholes on the bloody last 100-metre stretch. Because I'm not a sprinter. I'm not long distance. But give me a 400 and chuck some hurdles in there as well. Fine, I could ace it back in those days. Probably not so much the jumping bit now, and that's just due to other injuries. But I used to love it. Just get me out doing sports. It was my thing, and it kills me that I can't do it now.
I mean, I guess with kind of doing exercise and stuff like that, it kind of releases the endorphins, so kind of makes you happier as well.
Yeah. So the exercise does, but not only that, you then get the euphoria from the winning and the team spirit and all of that side of things, and just hearing people, because the crowds and people watching, and it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing feeling being there. And if I could still do it now, I would be. But I physically can't do it.
Didn't you join the cadets as well when you were younger?
I was in the cadets, but that was before I left Cornwall. So I left cadets. So I was only in cadets in Cornwall for about 18 months because I don't know what the hell was going on in Dorset when I moved there, but this was never a regulation, and they confirmed that when I rejoined as an adult, that I couldn't join because there was no female adult instructors. I'm like, so I just never went back to cadets until I then went back as an adult now. So, but before that I was a Cub Scout, so I was never into your girly clubs, stuffed brownies and guides and all of that rubbish. Chuck me in with the lads and building crap and camping and all of that sort of stuff. That's me. I'm a tomboy through and through. Always have been, always will be. With a girly little element every now and again.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm quite similar in that kind of way, where you tomboy, get along with the boys better.
Less drama, less hassle. 9 times out of 10.
Sometimes. Though I know I'm kind of slightly changing my mind now these days. So then, what was next for you when you kind of finished school?
Well, that was secondary school. I was then going on to do sixth form. So I stayed in the same school doing my sixth form stuff, doing business, computing, maths. I think what I was bloody doing then. And then I also did a further GCSE in Spanish in my first year, and then picked up further maths in my second year as an AS level. And the reason I took Spanish in the first year is because we were doing a trip through a group called World Challenge Organisation. I keep having to stop myself from saying World Health Organisation. That's why I was trying to think so much last night of what the hell it was bloody called, and they go, no. Oh, get out, bloody cables everywhere. And it basically, they do these, I don't know if they're still about actually, I think they are, but they do expeditions with schools to different countries around the world. So it could be Kenya, can't even think where else they've been, but we went to Peru. So we signed up to it. We had to raise the £3,000 fee ourselves. So I got myself a little job at Stour Head, in the pub up at Stour Head, just waitressing to pay for that. I think we had about 18 months to save all of that up and get our kit. But that £3,000 covered us for our flights out to Peru, which was good fun. 2 hours to Madrid, 12 hours to Peru. But we didn't care. We were what, 17? So yeah, exactly. And yeah, we spent a month over there. And part of the thing that World Challenge do is on your expeditions you do a week's worth of, it's not so much charity work, but community contribution. It's probably a more appropriate thing to call it. And we actually spent a week at one of the schools in a more little bit of a remote area, and we repainted all of their metal play equipment, so like the swings, the slides, climbing frames, that kind of stuff. Repainted all of their blackboards in their classrooms, and actually taught some lessons with them as well, which was quite fun, considering not a single one of them spoke a word of English.
So it was great fun. Spanish.
Yeah, so I was the only one out of our group of 15 or 20 of us that went. that actually spoke any Spanish.
So
So that was fun.
Lynn's just said community service, don't you mean?
Nah, I didn't have no cuffs on then.
I swear Lynn's a little troublemaker this evening.
I can tell.
Mm.
Yeah. But no, Peru is absolutely phenomenal. I would so recommend to anybody to go there. If you're not bothered about it being a beach holiday, but you want to learn something, you want to experience something, go to Peru. It is just unreal. So we spent a month over there going around the south of Peru, which includes Lake Titicaca. Check the comments for that one, because that'll no doubt bring some comments up. Which is actually a lake on the border of Peru and Bolivia, with reed islands on it.
Okay.
And they're floating reed islands, and they keep them going because as they rot underneath, they just put new layers of reed over the top, and they've been there for centuries, those reed islands. We stayed on them for one night. Most embarrassing part of being over in Peru.
You got to tell the story, Holly.
Oh yeah, I've got to tell this one. I'm going to get so much jip for this one from our lot. So the dialect of the individuals on the islands is very different to normal Spanish, because they're so isolated and they're just to themselves. They've got their own version of Spanish, basically. And their bathroom is basically outside on the reeds. However, they do move where they are, because as the reeds rot and everything, they've got to change location for it, etc., etc. Now, there was a certain direction you had to walk around this reed hut in particular to get to where you needed to go to the loo. Miscommunication ensued.
Hang on, 2 secs. Bex, please do. Go wake up Mickey. He needs to hear the story.
Oh, I'm going to sit here. I haven't actually told him this one.
Ooh. Bex, do you think you'd be able to wake him up? Let's see.
Set Solly on him.
Yeah, set Solly on him. She said she's on it.
Now, all she's got to do is send little Miss in to wake him up.
True. Send Lexi in.
Little Lexi. Send Lexi in. Or you send the birthday girl in to jump on him.
Or all the kids, all at once. Just doggy pile with Solly. That'll wake him up.
Oh, God, no. Don't do that to the kids. Solly would crush them.
Well, on a side note, before we get into that lovely story that you're about to tell us, what else did you enjoy about Peru?
So, we flew over the Nazca lines, which, for those of you who don't know what they are, they're basically big, and I mean big ass pictures in the floor, which have been there for centuries and centuries and centuries. We were meant to go up at midday in the plane to have a look at them, but we didn't in the end. We went up at sunset, so that was absolutely gorgeous. We also didn't walk the whole of it. Oh, I forgot one thing that I forgot to tell you yesterday. We walked part of the Inca Trail and went to Machu Picchu. Climbed up the big ass mountain next door to it to take the picture over the top.
Yeah.
That was hard work. So we did that, and then Cusco. Cusco is amazing. They call it the tourist capital of Peru. And the reason they call it the tourist capital of Peru... Oh, I've just remembered something else. It's amazing what things come flooding back. There's a big square in the centre of Cusco. And around this square, there's a few shops and bits and pieces. But there's clubs along each side of the square. And you get these club reps coming out of you, and obviously you stick out like a sore thumb, white, European, yeah, we can spot you. So the club reps come up to you and go, come to our club, free drink. And it's always vodka and Sprite, because they don't have lemonade over there, it's always Sprite. Yeah. So you walk in, get your drink, have a bit of a dance, walk back out again, next club rep comes up to you. Carry on, and there's about 12 clubs around this whole square.
Mm.
And by the time you've got to the 12th, one, they're not English measures, they're Hollie measures that they actually give you. Great. Two, you're at high altitude, so you've got reduced oxygen in your body already, which means the alcohol hits you quicker. So by the time you get round to the 12th,
free pub crawl. If you want to go for a free pub crawl, guys, that's where you go.
Yes.
Anyhow.
Spend 3 grand and go to Peru. Or just take the flights and just bum around. Yeah. And then the one thing I was laughing at, I go, oh, I just remembered this. Jam. So the jam that you get over there comes in like a sachet thing like this rather than a jar.
Mm.
Guess what it's called? This is going to gross a few people out.
Uh-oh. Heads up, guys.
Fanny jam. Fanny.
Oh.
It's called Fanny.
Yummy.
Yep. Yeah, so that was fun. Hot. And in Peru, although the Grand Canyon is the widest canyon in the world, the deepest is actually the Colca Canyon, and that's in Peru. And we went down one side and up the other. But down at the bottom, we stayed at this place that's called the Oasis. And you've got like reed huts that you stay in that are on normal ground, not on reed, thankfully. And they've got a big ass proper swimming pool, outdoor swimming pool. And so we were having a great time standing on each other's shoulders, pushing each other off and just having a right old laugh. Like you would imagine doing actually on a holiday somewhere. What's somebody saying?
Lynn's asking, did she go to the doctors? I'm guessing that's in reference to the Fanny Jam. Well, turns out Mickey is dead to the world and dead.
It's all right, he can watch the whole thing then, won't he?
Yeah, he can. So I think we can revert back to your funny story when you were on the reeds.
Yeah, on the Reed Island. So yeah, there was some miscommunication as to which direction you had to walk round to get to the toilet area. I end up going the wrong direction. I end up falling through the Reed Island. I think it might have only just above my knees. Yeah, that didn't smell too pretty. So
talk about landing in it.
I went straight through the Reed Island, right up to my freaking knees in it. Or just over my knees. It's like, ugh. So yeah, I'd get out of that, then take my jumper off, or take my arms out of my jumper, pull it down, round to my waist, which I could do then, and wear that as kind of like a skirt thing. So I could take my trousers off, put them in a bag and tie the bag up, because it really did not smell very nice at all. Until we could get back into the city and I could go to the laundrette.
How did you get out?
I didn't, because the islands they are so thick. I went down into it, but I could still put enough force down in front to pull myself up out. But so that was fun, because we weren't due back on the island for 2 days. Off the island for that was before we went to bed as well. So yeah, that was fun.
I swear, Lynn, I'm about to mute you.
What's she doing now?
That's what she said. She's in a troublemaking mood.
Well, she has been tempting fate with trying possibly dating cow spots.
Oh, cow spots.
What did you think I was going to say?
I was cow stripes.
Well, it's cow stripes, really, but depends on what colour they are. They might be zebras.
They could be. Never know. Anyhow, was there any more any more in the Peru story that you want to share?
Other than the fact that we've now lost one of the people who I went on the trip with, rest his soul. He died in a car accident 2 years after we got back.
Sorry.
Yeah, he was in my sister's year at school. Davy Lou. He was the one who got altitude sickness when we were there as well. Bless him. Rest his soul. What is she doing?
I prefer bulls to cows. Lynn, this is a Mickey's Army Q&A. Behave yourself. Don't make me come up there.
On that note.
Yep. On that note, moving on.
Dang. Yeah, so that was Peru. So that was between my first and second year of sixth form. So that was summer of 2003. Then in 2004, I finished my GCSEs. Frick no. A levels. I just gave myself 2 years.
Yeah.
And then after that, I took a year out, but I don't know why. I can't remember why I took a year out. I think it might have been because I was doing the whole sensible thing and trying to save money before going to uni. Because I already had a place at uni. I just deferred my entry for a year. Going to do accounting and finance and management science. Can't really remember what I did in that gap year. I think I went to work at the estate agents between and not after. So, yeah, that's just kind of a write-off year, to be fair. Can't remember. Went to uni 2005, September of. I was only there for a year. I was doing accounting and finance and management science. I wish I was only doing management science because I probably would have actually got a degree. Because it was a joint degree, I had to pass all 6 modules.
Right.
And 5 of the modules were 60-70% plus.
Yeah.
One module, which was accounting and finance, I really just didn't go to those lectures and didn't want to do it because it was just boring as hell. And I really wish I didn't pick it. So I had to resit it anyway. And on the resit, so I had to do a year of home study for this one module. And I did the resit and I still failed it by 2%.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't give me the concessionary pass, even considering the rest of my grades. And considering I was actually going to drop the accounting and finance side of it. So basically, I wasted a year and got myself into debt for no reason because it was a joint degree and I didn't pass all the modules. I cannot use any of those modules towards any form of qualification or anything like that at all.
That's going to be so frustrating.
So in essence, just wasted 2 years because of the second year's home study.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a bit shit. But I did lose 1.5 stone in a year that I was at uni. Without trying. Without trying. That's the bonus bit. Because I had breakfast thrown in with my halls. So I'd go and have breakfast every day, which, although it was a fry up, I'd kind of do like the healthy-ish version. So it would be sausage, bacon, eggs, tomatoes, mushrooms. Because you only got 5 items. So I'd have that every day, because that was guaranteed free food.
Yeah.
What's just happened to the lighting in here?
I don't know.
It's just gone really weird.
Lynn, just to let you know, your question got ghosted. All I had was the had come up. While you're changing lighting, I'm just going to skip back to a question that Shell had. Was Peru your dream trip, or do you have another dream trip in mind that you'd love to go
on? No, so Peru was huge for me. That was huge. I don't like that one either. But let's just do that one. I do love the whole exploring side of things as opposed to just going and sitting on a beach and getting bored out of my freaking head.
Yeah.
So I've done Peru was a month, obviously. Into Marrakesh on my Todd, and that was amazing as well. I did Tunisia, but when I went to Tunisia, although I did spend quite a bit of time around the pool on that one, I also went out to Carthage, which was amazing. I love archaeology, basically. I've probably watched every single episode of Time Team about 50 million times over. I do. I love history and I love archaeology and that side of things, and it's just amazing. So, and Carthage, especially in the heat I was in as well. That was lovely.
Yeah.
That was lovely. So yeah, it's just for me, it's historical things where I can go and exploring different cultures. Which I suppose has got a lot to do with the history anyway. But yeah, I'm not one for going and just sitting on a beach. But then again, I'd be quite happy just to go on, say, an adventure holiday where you're just going walking somewhere, for example's sake. Something where you're physically doing something. Tell Lynn that she'll get a slap in a minute.
It's more than Lynn, it's Crystal and Butters as well causing trouble over here.
What are they doing now?
Lynn's the main troublemaker right now. She's like, Steph, there's someone behind you. And Butters is like, it's me. And then Crystal says it's me. They're all troublemakers, the lot of them.
Do you know you pull your curtain across and it'll stop them?
It's fine. I know.
You
I'm not on the ground floor.
No, I know that. I know that, but it's only because they can see your ring light and want to wind you up.
No, it's my halo.
Don't let me choke. There's no halo. Not that high anyway. Not that high anyway.
It's my halo.
It's already slipping. Because it ain't like that. It's like that.
It's got no reason to slip right now. Sorry. Lynn, right. You are the Pope. Oh, Ben, behave. He's like, that dropped years ago, Steph. Right.
I burnt mine. Like I said, little bit white, lot bit red.
So that makes me just red all over, so... And the
exactly, so yours dropped a long time ago. So Ben wasn't wrong.
No worries, Emma, welcome back.
Oh, yeah. No, Journey, I can't say that there's anywhere specifically that I really want to go to. I just want to go to everywhere. Except Europe.
Why?
I don't know what it is. I want to go explore the wider world. I don't want to just explore Europe. So I want to do the wider world first. And because Europe's a lot closer, I can always say, yeah. Go wide. But I really, really want to go to Chicago.
Why Chicago?
Just always wanted to. Just something about Chicago. I've just always wanted to go to Chicago. And Philadelphia.
Then I get the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song stuck in my head.
That's why I wanted to go to Philadelphia for God knows how long. That and the film Philadelphia.
Lynn's asking, does she want to come to Lincolnshire?
Wouldn't mind going to Lincolnshire.
Oh, there we go.
There's lots of history in Lincolnshire, actually.
Yeah.
I do like English history too. British history.
Got a lot of it.
Oh,
wow. Okay. Just had a bunch of things come in here. Who would Hollie most likely like to go discovering with, famous or not, alive or dead? Pass. Sorry.
That's a tough one. And this is probably going to cringe a lot of people out. And the only reason I say this is because they would actually probably be interested in going and seeing the sort of stuff, would be Tony Robinson.
Ooh.
The guy from Time Team.
And where's that?
I say literally because normally I only ever want to go on holidays on my own when I want to go and see stuff, because then I haven't got to argue with people about, I don't want to go see that, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. So if I want to go off and do stuff, I normally go on my own. Whereas Tony Robinson, because it's all the history side of things and all of that kind of stuff, would probably actually be like, yeah, okay, let's go see that. Let's go see this. Let's go do that.
Hmm.
So yeah, be somebody on kind of a wavelength.
So one thing from Shell, she says, if she comes to America, she better come by, or I will be, and lots of angry faces. So you're being told.
Yes, Washington State's on the list.
Lynn's asked.
Plus Lynn, plus Shell even. I've got to come see you anyway because we've got to do a little trip to where they film Grimm. Got to go to Portland.
Nope. We just need to do one big Mickey's Army trip over to Seashell. That's what we're gonna do.
Female Mickey's Army trip. Yeah, we've got to go to Portland.
Lynn's asking who are her 5 dinner guests, past or present.
Excluding the Mickey's Army team, because everybody would just be there anyway. My granddad. Although he'd fall out with everybody else at the dinner, so it'd end up just being me and my granddad. He's a typical stubborn old Cornishman. Or was, should I say. My granddad. Whitney Houston. Abraham Lincoln.
Can I ask why Abraham Lincoln?
Just because it'd be interesting to get his insight into things, because he was a very insightful person, from what history says anyway. Henry VIII.
That would be an interesting one.
There'd be no food left.
True.
And I wouldn't be number 7. And last but by no means least, my niece.
So yeah. Lynn, I'm assuming this is in reference to the Whitney Houston choice. Is that because she will always love you?
Yes. No, she was my singing idol as I grew up. So as I was finding my voice and singing as such, I ended up having a bit of a Whitney warble, as it was always known as, which for some reason I just couldn't shake, and I always did. And I've still got that little bit of a shake in my voice on certain songs, but because I love my singing as well. I absolutely adore singing. I wish I could do it more.
What's your go-to karaoke song then?
Depends on the mood I'm in. My most successful karaoke song has probably been Celine Dion and Think Twice. Because I've actually made people cry with that. And Alanis Morissette and Ironic. Did that a cappella once in a pub where a mate of mine was actually working behind the bar and he thought it was Alanis Morissette singing. I'm like, I don't quite get that, but okay.
There we go.
So I'll take the compliment on that.
Ben saying, give us a song, No Balls. They're all asking now as well. Do you guys have any requests? Do you guys have any recommendations, requests? What song should Hollie sing?
Tick tock, tick tock.
So Nana Blaze is asking, would she like to see Tutankhamun's tombs?
Yes. Although my grandparents went to see the pyramids and they weren't impressed with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to the Valley of the Kings. I would also like to go to the museum in Egypt, but you're not allowed to take pictures in there.
No, that's true.
It's annoying.
Right. So the most popular request that has come through is Whitney. And the song that Lynn named with I Will Always Love You.
That's one of the ones that I don't do very well. I've got to try and remember the bloody beginning of it now.
Thanks for the follow, Amy.
See, now I've got Your Love stuck in my head. Your love is my love, and my love is your love. It would take an eternity to break us, so the northern stars couldn't hold us. And I can never remember those little wordy bits, even though that's the quote I got them to do on Saturday night. But I can't sing at full volume in here because I will wake the whole neighbourhood up. And Death and Steph.
Ben saying wrong song.
I know it is.
Lynn saying, I have nothing.
I have nothing, nothing, nothing. Don't make me close one more door. I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. Must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me. I have nothing, nothing, nothing. And then you're going to stop there.
Yay, you're getting lots of claps and a cheeky Ben.
I wouldn't expect anything less from our Ben.
Yeah. Alright, so other than kind of singing and everything, do you have any other hobbies that you enjoy doing?
Yes, but I'm terrible at finishing things. So I crochet, I do diamond painting, I do glass painting, sewing, fire burning, wood burning,
Fire burning.
wood burning, knitting, mosaics, crafty stuff basically. But I'm terrible at finishing projects.
Keep your hands busy.
Yeah, keep my hands busy.
Shell says, join the unfinished club, Holly.
Yeah. I've got a blanket that I started, that I was doing for myself, that I started a year and a half ago that I still haven't finished, which is there. I've then got a jumpery thing that I started for myself last summer, which is there. I've got a mermaid blanket, which I started for my niece about 3 years ago, there.
We need to start finishing things, Missy.
Yeah, I think it's like me with reading a book. I don't mind reading, but I've got to do it in stages. I get bored, I get distracted, I go and do something else. So it's like I'm reading a book at the moment, or I'm actually reading a series of books by Holly Black.
Never heard of
Love Holly Black. It's like fairies and that kind of stuff. And it is more adult than that. But I've been reading the same book now for about the past year, because I just pick it up, read a chapter, and then put it back down again or something, because I just get distracted.
Yeah.
And go off and do something else at that point in time, or something else will come on the TV, or I'll get a phone call or a message, or I'll just play a game on my phone or whatever. I've got to be in the right frame of mind to actually do something like it. So, but it's all little things to take my mind off it, take my mind off life at that particular point in time. So, but the thing is, with the book, I can pick it up a year later and still remember exactly what was going on and where I was.
Yeah, because you've got a really good memory.
Yeah, unfortunately, sometimes. Doesn't help with some stuff.
But it helped you, I guess, in uni and school somewhat.
Yeah. So, yeah, if I'd studied a lot more, I probably would have come out with A stars and A's all the way through my GCSEs, instead of 1 A star, 5 A's, 4 B's. I know that doesn't sound like that sounds amazing to a lot of people, but for my capabilities, it's not. And I know that sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet. I'm not intending to. I just know, and everybody else has said to me academic-wise and what I've got in there, if I'd actually spent the time studying like I should have done, I would have got a lot better.
Yeah.
Same with my A levels. Came away with B and 2 C's. So, but it is what it is.
Exactly.
That's life.
It is life. So, moving on from uni, where did your life take you?
Down the pan. I came back from uni. Well, obviously, didn't come back from uni. Came back from my exam. They weren't going to give me the concessionary pass. I wasted a year, 2 years. I wanted to be in the military, so I was and I wanted to pilot. I wanted to be a pilot. So in my head, I was like, right, I'm going for the Navy. A, I'm Cornish. B, you've got a better chance of flying in the Navy than you have in any of the other forces. So I was actually going in for officer entry at that point in time when I came back from uni. And this is when I fell out with politics, because the government put a cut on spending, which meant that the military put a suspension on all officer applications for 6 months, which pushed me over my age limit to go in as an officer. So I knew that flying was out of the window as a pilot, which completely knocked me for six. That's all I'd ever wanted to do, was be in the military. So why I was going to do accounting and finance and management science, I don't know. Probably just so I had something in my head go, yeah, I can do that. And so that knocked me for six. So after that, I was just like, I just don't know what to do. So I ended up doing what I'd done for years, which was working in pubs. Went to work in pubs, met some people that I've known, well, I have known for years, still know, wouldn't necessarily call them friends anymore, but acquaintances. Quite happily still sit down in the pub and have a pint with them if they were there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I met one of my best mates in there. I'm not going to mention his name in particular, just in case there's anybody I know that's on here that knows him. But met him there. He then moved away, and we just lost contact for a while. And I then was a little bit on my own again. So I used to spend a lot of time in the pub drinking, getting myself into more debt by finding a loophole with the bank that if I had a certain amount in there, did a debit card transaction, then did cash back in the pub, then I'd just end up having loads of money for the weekend and then being in debt the following week, and just circle. And I was basically, in my head, I was just like going to the pub because I felt liked in the pub. I wasn't doing my sports anymore because I wasn't in school and there wasn't really anything going on around locally to be able to do that. Because I'm a people person, although I'm not as much anymore. I was really a people person. And because of my previous experiences, I felt that if I was there and I was drinking, I was with people, I was popular, everybody would talk to me because they knew me, because I was normally drinking in the pubs where I worked.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, that wasn't a good era for me. I became a bit of a tramp, not going to lie. I'd already by this point had one.
Should
Do you
we
want an issue?
say, yeah,
Do you want an
so just to let you
issue? Just
guys
in
know,
case.
there may be a bit of a trigger warning here in regards to kind of abortion and so forth. So anyone that doesn't want to listen, feel free to leave and come back later. We totally understand that, but I know this may be a touchy subject for a few people. So I
Yeah.
just wanted to give everyone a heads up.
Yeah. It might be probably will be the only touchy subject, to be honest, that will proper trigger people. If it does, used to me, to the point that I couldn't talk about it at one point. But no, by this point, I'd already had one termination. I was 18 at the time, and 6 weeks, if that, 4 to 6 weeks. Went up to the local district hospital. Can't remember what they did. They did something, and then I was home that day. And I was just literally, I was a tramp. It wasn't randoms. It wasn't, I'm going to be stupid and just go out and sleep with absolutely freaking anybody. It was all blokes that I knew or went to school with or knew from the pubs and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, there's no such thing as safe when you're doing that. So yeah, I was just on a bit of a downward spiral at that point, which is where I met my mate, Hayley. No objection to mentioning this name at all. And we were just, it was almost like she was my sister. I'd quite often go around her place. I was made godmother to her daughter. We'd go out together, me and her daughter, me and Hayley. And she was originally from South Shields, up near Newcastle, or between smack bang between Newcastle and Sunderland, basically. And so because I was still living at home at that point, and I wanted to move out. Housing around that way wasn't necessarily cheap or available, really. So we were actually looking at moving up to South Shields because housing was cheaper, but jobs still paid about the same. So it kind of worked out a win-win situation. And I was getting bored where I lived. We didn't really have anything there for people. We were on the main London Waterloo Exeter line. Yeah. But other than that, so I could have gone to Salisbury in one direction and Yeovil in the other direction. Other than that, we didn't really have much apart from hairdressers and charity shops and pubs. Had at least 7 of each.
Usual.
Oh, and estate agents. Yeah. So that was just a good friendship at the time, and so we'd all planned to move. I'd handed in my notice at the factory where I was working. I was looking for jobs up there. We were going to go and stay with her brother initially to start with, and I honestly can't remember why she did it or why she got in the mood she was in, but for some reason she'd got pissed off with me one night. And she decided, because I'll go back to the story about where this all comes from in a moment, to tell my mum that, which I hadn't spoken to my mum about the first one. She didn't know about my first termination. By this point, I'd had 2, and I will explain about the second one in a moment. To tell my mum that I'd had 2 terminations. And my mum didn't have a freaking clue. And she was just annoyed at me for some reason, no idea why she did that. And this was probably about 2 weeks before we were due to leave to go up to South Shields. Obviously, I didn't feel like talking to her the next day. And then she just disappeared. She moved the whole lot, so God knows how long she'd been planning it for, but she disappeared. Completely moved out, gone. So I had no job. I was up the creek without a paddle, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, wasn't great at that point in time. And that was, so I moved up to there in 2009. 2009-ish, I think, if it was all right, off the top of my head. And yeah, so that was literally a year, pretty much a year after my termination, which was the second one, which this, if it's going to hit anybody, is going to be the bit that really hits people. I was actually 20 weeks when I found out. The only reason I went to the doctors is because I went off alcohol. Apart from Chinzano and lemonade. So I knew something wasn't right. So I went to the doctors. And yeah, I knew in my head, and this is the same reason that I did the first one as I did the second one, that I couldn't look after myself, let alone anything else. I knew at that point in time that I wasn't right in here. or
And
stable
you
enough
were
in here. Not, I wasn't right in there. I wasn't stable in there.
and you were kind of
Not a
getting
student.
yourself through it with drinking as well.
Yeah, yeah. I was literally probably up until 2012.
Mm.
I was drinking a lot, an awful lot. Not that it stopped me going to work or drinking throughout the day outside of work. And I had to go to Twickenham to have that done because it's the only place at that point in time, or that far along, where you can go and get it done. And it was 2 months after my niece was born, which made it really difficult. And I really, really struggled afterwards, especially with my sister coming to visit with the baby, with my niece. I'd end up getting in stroppy moods just for no reason, saying stuff out of order and all this kind of stuff. To the point that one day my mum actually slapped me. And I walked out to the kitchen at that point and she said, I can't remember what exactly it was she said. But I just turned around and said, do you honestly think this is easy for me? And I just broke down into tears. Because no matter whether it's your choice or not to do it, it doesn't make it any less of an easier choice. And like I say, at one point, I couldn't even talk about it. I'd almost just blocked it off.
Yeah, you kind of compartmentalize it. Can't say that word.
Yeah.
Because
Compartmentalize.
it's like your body's out here when you're kind of dealing with a difficult kind of situation like that, and I know how
Yeah.
difficult that could be.
Yeah.
And
Not,
I know
not,
it's
not the
hard
best.
looking back on it. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
slightly difficult question here from Lynn. Do you regret that now when looking back on it?
No. Because for the same reasons as the reason I did it, I wasn't in a good enough place. It wouldn't have been fair on the child. It wouldn't have been fair on me. It wouldn't have been fair on my family. All of the above. I mean, I know who the dad was, but that didn't make any difference.
So then, kind of after kind of going through it, how did you cope?
I literally just I blocked it, pretended it didn't happen. Just didn't think about it. It's like I do with most stuff. If you don't think about it, it didn't happen. That kind of thing. And it's what a lot of people do. You bottle it up and you bottle and you bottle and you bottle. And it doesn't help. No, it doesn't help at all. In the slightest. Because you end up like me. Crazy. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna lie, you will end up in it. You could end up in a similar sort of situation as to what I did in my head. Bottle it up for years until, like 20 years, I think it was. Must have been approximately. Yeah, from about 15 to 35. If you think about it that way, 34, 35, 20 years. Probably even longer than that, maybe 22 years. You just explode. And that is what I actually believe midlife crises are. I don't believe they are actually a midlife crisis. I believe they are somebody who's bottled stuff up for far too long and they break.
And it all comes
Personally, but
tumbling out.
yeah, exactly.
That's why it's
And it does.
so important to talk about things.
It is. It is. And a lot of my problem was the fact that my fear of failure and letting people down again. And it's partly to do with the way in which my brains are as far as remembering stuff and processing things and all this kind of stuff, because almost I set that level that people expected that from me. I kind of put that level into everything that I do.
Yeah.
So the fact that me talking about that or talking about anything made me feel that I was letting people down.
Mm.
And so again, worst enemy. Your own head is your own worst enemy. Always will be.
Brilliant.
It's just human nature, unfortunately. But yeah, that's the only way I could, or I did deal with it. It helped that my sister lived in Gloucester at the time, so I didn't see her all the time because I was still in Dorset at this point. So I didn't see her all the time.
Mm.
So that helped, and I could kind of lock myself away. But between that happening and me moving, because I did still go up to South Shields in the end and went to stay with my mate's brother, Haley's brother, which again, that's another downward spiral again. And to the point that I pretty much locked myself away. I stopped going out, apart from to work. And my mum at that point in time, because whilst I was at uni, my mum and my stepdad split up. Oh, itchy bloody eye. So I come back through one of the terms, and mum's sleeping in my room. I then come back at the end of the year, and she's moved house. Yay! Great fun, considering I didn't even know about that when I was away. She waited for me to get home to tell me any of it. Thanks, Mum. But so it was me and Mum living in the same house because my sister, like I say, she was already in Gloucester at that point.
Yeah.
And my mum would go out drinking on the weekends, and I'd be up when she got home still. And rather than talking with me or having a conversation, she'd talk at me. And one point, I don't know whether I saw blacks or reds or just a switch flipped. I'm not proud of doing this, and I am ashamed that I have done it, but I'm not ashamed to talk about it. Mum was saying to me, I said, that's it, I'm going. I'm leaving now. And she said, in a drunken tone, well, if you're going through me. And I went. And the only bit I can remember about all of it is me having her pinned to the table by her throat.
Yeah.
And the look of fear on her face. And I've got a feeling that's the only thing that snapped me out of it. Because I remember doing it, but I don't remember physically telling myself to do it. If that makes any sense. Or you're going to strangle your mum now.
Yeah.
No, it just happened.
It's like a fog that comes over you and you don't realise what
Yeah,
you're
so
doing.
I get this whole, like, when you see, like, CSI dramas and all this kind of stuff and real life ones where people say they don't remember doing this sort of stuff and that kind of thing. It's not that I don't remember doing it. I remember doing it. But I think if I hadn't been looking at her, I dread to think what had happened. What could have happened.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thought. Really freaking scary thought. Because if I could, at my head, if I could do that to my mum, what else could I do?
Yeah.
And I didn't like myself at all at that point. Really did not like myself at all. And we've never spoken about it since.
Lynn, well, just on the back of that, Lynn's asking if you're still in contact with your family.
Sorry, say that again?
Lynn's asking if you're still in contact with your family.
Yeah, so my mum, bless her, she sends me a text every single night saying, good night, sweetheart, love you loads. So I speak to my mum every day. My sister, I now live in Gloucester, so I see them on a fairly regular basis, but not regular enough considering we live in the same city. Town city, because it's not big enough to be a city. My dad's side of the family or any of my stepdad's side of the family, nope, don't speak to any of them. I haven't spoken to my dad in 13 years. He's not even met his granddaughter. My stepdad, from that point in time, nope. If I see him around, I'd say hello, because he's never physically done me any harm. He actually did me quite well throughout my life. But again, left. So that's another male figure in my life that disappeared. Another person who I valued in my life disappeared. So that's at least 3 by that point in time. There's my dad. my stepdad, Haley. That's 3. My grandparents. I say grandparents. I've only got 1 left now. My grand's in Cornwall. My granddad's recently passed away, so
I'm
I
sorry.
haven't got him anymore.
So
That actually was difficult for me to get out for once.
it
But that is
was.
very, very recent. That was only February, so.
So Libs is asking, is there something that happened for you and your mum to be close again?
Not particularly, no. We never really didn't be, never, we never really weren't close. I think we're closer now ever since I had my breakdown and I physically told her about me being on antidepressants. But I think I more distanced myself from everybody than anything else. So no, nothing in
Mm.
particular rings a bell. But I think she's, apart from me flipping my lid at her on the odd occasion, going, "You don't understand," and all this kind of malarkey and all that sort of stuff. You know, the usual outbursts that kids have to their parents, no matter what age they're at. Nothing in particular. Because we are very much alike. That was half the reason why we constantly were at each other's throats when we lived together.
Yeah.
Because we were just so alike. The moment that I moved away, it became so much easier for both of us. The same with me and my sister. Me and my sister can't live together because we will kill each other. But yeah, so that's my Dorset life anyway.
So just
That
before we
came
kind of
from
carry on, there was a couple of kind of questions earlier on. So Poppy asked why the military necessarily when you were kind of talking about joining and kind of becoming a pilot.
This is going to sound really cheesy, and Mickey and Ben and Toby and everybody are going to hate me for saying this. But where my interest first started, and I say interest started, not my drive started, was watching Top Gun.
What woman wasn't?
Oh, no, not for the men. I wanted to fly the planes. I actually wanted to fly the planes.
I did as
And then
well,
I started looking
actually.
at it a bit more. And I've also got family who were in the military as well. And like I say, being an army cadet as a kid as well, it's just the whole, it was just something that I always wanted to do. And it was the only thing I could ever put my finger on that, yes, that's what I want to do. I still don't know now.
I'm sorry, I've just had a very shocking comment, which I need to bring to people's attention. But are you saying you've never watched Top Gun?
But are you coming off my follow list, love?
Go
I'm
watch it,
waiting for the
woman.
new one.
I know, that was supposed to come out.
That was meant to be out
What,
last
a
year.
couple of years? Yeah.
It was meant to be out last year. Fucking COVID.
Lynn, blasphemy. She's saying it's not great. Kids these days, seriously.
Playing with the boy. That's a
Like
great
that.
scene.
So there was the usual main question that we get from Lynn and all our QAs. Who's your favorite Mickey's Army member?
Me.
There we go.
And you know
Smooth
what?
out, getting out of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it should be yourself.
Gotta love
For
yourself.
everybody, it should be yourself. You have got to, and this has taken me a long time to learn this. Not that I necessarily believe it all the time. And now my eyes pink. Bloody allergies. You've got to love yourself above everybody else. It's just because if you don't, then A, you can't ever be true to yourself, which means you let the wrong side of things in. learn from experience. You also then can't show the real you to other people, because if you don't love yourself, you hide the real you. So then other people can't love you for you and love you
Yeah.
truly. So you've got to love yourself. So for me to actually say that I am my favourite member of Mickey's army is huge for me.
It's a massive step.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Tomorrow I might say something different. But right now, me.
So before we kind of move on to kind of funner, yay, lively questions, is like I know throughout you were kind of talking about your anxiety and kind of depression, and that's something you're still kind of struggling with, and it's something that you're working on every day. So for those who kind of suffer with their kind of own version of depression and anxiety, what are kind of some techniques that you feel like would be beneficial to kind of share to kind of
Um,
keep going?
I know this is going to sound kind of like detrimental to what I've said earlier and what we always say about talking. Talking is a great thing, obviously. It's like I've learned, especially since being in Mickey's army and the people that I've met and everything like that. If I'm having a breakdown, and the guys will back me up on this, that I've actually gone to them when I've been in, say, an anxiety breakdown, just physically talking with people is great, because it doesn't have to be about what you're feeling either. Just
Yeah.
physically talking with somebody about something is amazing, because it distracts your brain. It refocuses what your brain and your body's doing, so that it takes then away from the anxiety side of things.
Yeah.
Another thing I also find with anxiety, because I enjoy singing, is putting music on that I can sing to, because it's my nature to sing to songs. That again takes my mind off stuff.
Mm.
As far as, and it's different for different people. I mean, I with my anxiety, I had an panic attack on Saturday night. I actually do get panic attacks with it, which I didn't really think of until Saturday night, that I actually get panic attacks with it. And I've noticed that throughout the years, I've been suffering with this for a very long time, because I normally end up crying when I get anxiety, and bad anyway, to the point that I hyperventilate. And I noticed that I was doing that on Saturday night, and the only thing that physically stopped me from doing that was picking up my phone and playing on a game. Playing a game on my phone to distract myself from what was going on. So again, it was refocusing my body. And where when I had my breakdown back in June last year, and finally sought the help that I needed, I asked the woman on the phone, because I've got no motivation to do anything, especially nothing for myself. For other people, yeah, bang on, straight down the line, not an issue, but nothing for me, which is a big classic for depression anyway. But I asked, because I was talking to counselors, I was having an assessment basically over the phone, and I said to her, well, how is it that I can sit there for hours though and play games on my mobile phone? How is it
Mm.
I can have the motivation to do that? And apparently, she couldn't tell me exactly the science behind it, but we as people, and this goes to anybody, with smartphones and the colours and everything on the smartphones, we physically get joy out of looking at our phones. And I don't know if that's to do with release of endorphins and things like that. Again, like I say, she couldn't explain the science to me of it. But so there's been a few games that I've recommended to people, I mean to yourself as well, haven't I, Steph, that are really, really good, because they mean you have to concentrate, but it's not taxing on the brain. So they're like colouring apps, so like adult colouring, that kind of thing. And the reason I go to apps as opposed to colouring books as such is because you've got that colour, and you've got that from the light off your phone, whatever it is, I don't know, but apparently that's another reason as to why we can do that. As far as the depression side of things goes, that's a tough one. I'm still struggling with that a lot myself. I'm still very much in the, I know what causes my problems. and I know what my problems are caused by and where they originate from, but I'm still not sure how to functionally deal with that. And I think that's partly to do because, yes, I've got anxiety and yes, I've got depression, but my depression is as a result of what's known as complex PTSD. So, and it's not something that a lot of people will have heard of. Complex PTSD isn't actually at present recognised by the medical professionals as an official mental health condition. PTSD is. The difference between the two is PTSD in itself, as in essence, is linked to a particular event. So, for example, major car crash. You get PTSD because you have flashbacks and everything from a car crash. Whereas complex PTSD is a build-up of many different events over the years. So you'll quite often find that those who have been subject to childhood or sexual abuse over the years often suffer from complex PTSD because it's not one particular event, it's a series of events.
Yep.
But so it's difficult to diagnose as well, which is another reason why they're so iffy about actually recognising it. Some counsellors will diagnose it, some won't. I've not been officially diagnosed with it, but conversations and research and everything that I've done about it and how I behave and what I do, once it gets recognised, I will be diagnosed with it.
So would you say, like, I guess the effects of complex PTSD versus kind of the standard kind of PTSD, let's say, this is the best word I can come up with.
I know.
Is there a difference, kind of, what comes of it, or do you still have flashbacks?
There is, but there isn't. I mean, you don't get as many flashbacks with complex PTSD as you do PTSD, because complex PTSD is an amalgamation of things. So I was saying to you during the week, I've been having nightmares just like yourself has and everybody else has. My nightmares are a combination of everything. So I will have, for example, a nightmare where I'm trying to think now. I'm trying not to mix them up. There's a group of us who I know really, really well, and we're off doing something, and then somebody who I've known from the past, again, who isn't a problem person, but then all hell breaks loose, and then I'm getting attacked by certain things, and so it's just everything all in one go, but it's not necessarily specifically flashbacks as to certain events. Because for myself, although I was bullied, yes, I've got abandonment issues because people in my life who were supposed to have been there for me and be important people in my life have just disappeared. And that's not through death, that's through them being assholes. And then I've got my self-confidence issues because of my bullying. I've then got, and the people leaving me. And then there's the whole termination side of things. Then there's, like I say, if we were moving on in the story, we'd be going up to when I was in South Shields and the drug use and the way I wasn't physically abused or mentally abused, but I was in a sense because I was encouraged to do these drugs, etc., etc. I say drugs, it was speed. I wasn't injecting anything. I'm not that stupid. I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. And all this kind of stuff. So rather than it being particular little incidents, you don't tend to get flashbacks as much with complex as you do with normal PTSD. But for example, you will in a sense because you get the feeling flashback as opposed to the incident flashback.
Yeah.
So what kicked it off on the day that I had my breakdown was oh my god, that's somebody else that's leaving me. So it was that feeling again of that all happening and I'm going to be on my own, I'm not worth anything, I'm not this, I'm not that. So it was that as opposed to oh my god, I'm seeing this happen again.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. All PTSD is linked to depression, or depression is linked to PTSD, and those who suffer with PTSD will more than likely have depression, even if it's a very small form, and you might not realise it at all.
It's something that can sometimes sneak up on you, and then it's not until you're in the midst of all of it you just go, there it is.
Yeah. Exactly. And if you're good at bottling, it just all literally explodes all in one go.
Yep.
And that's what happened to me. Bottled for too many years.
And unfortunately, that can have a massive effect on yourself. And I know it takes a long time for you to then kind of not get over it, but deal with it and process it.
Learn how to handle it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I say, I'm still learning with the whole depression side of things. My doctors are trying to say to me, I think you should still be looking to go and speak to a counsellor, because CBT will not work for me.
CBT isn't a great option when you have depression.
It can be if it's not that severe. So my depression is rated as moderate to severe, but more on the severe end. And if you're in the mild to moderate or moderate category, it's not too bad, because you do tend to have that bit more motivation. You've got to have motivation to be able to do CBT. And CBT is better for those who are suffering as a result of current situations as opposed to past. So if, say, for example, you are suffering with depression due to bereavement, CBT is going to more than likely work for you, whereas those who are suffering due to their past, it more than likely won't, unless you've dealt with that from the past and have got a bit of motivation back. So yeah, my nurse is still saying to me, I still think you should talk to a counsellor and this kind of stuff. I did spend some time talking with a counsellor. I did it via online chat because that was so much easier, rather than physically seeing somebody's face or talking to somebody on the phone. And do you know what? I was getting there with everything. I was talking it out and saying where all my problems were. And she even said to me, you seem very, very conscious and very, very aware of where your issues and what your problems are and where they've come from. And I'm like, yeah. So even in my own head, I still don't see how counselling's going to help me. Because I know what my issues are and I know where they come from. And I can't do anything to change that. So it's dealing with how I deal with it now. And it's like, but that's CBT and that's not going to work. And
I mean, it's like, have you been accepting? Because I know it's very easy for us to kind of split what's going on in our head, and we can make it very logical in our heads from what's going on in our hearts and what we're feeling, kind of thing. And I know sometimes me and you, Holly, are quite similar in the sense where we can make things very logical in our heads and know it's like, okay, I know where the problem is, I get it, but then feeling wise, it's still just not right. And it's just, I guess, from my side, from me kind of going through depression and going through a meltdown earlier this year, I think it's just learning how to be able to not only process and figure out where the problem's coming from, but then also being able to process all the feelings that come with it.
Yeah, and I totally get that. It's just from my point of view and my experience that I've had as far as counselling goes, they don't, and this is the thing with counsellors, psychologists are different. And I think I would probably benefit from a psychologist rather than a counsellor, but you can't get that for free and it costs a goddamn fortune, which really doesn't help when you've got mental health issues and want to get help. But so a counsellor's better than nothing for most. However, a counsellor will literally guide you into your talk, but won't give you any strategies, won't try and help you into doing stuff. They're just there to listen.
It's like
in a sense,
mirror.
but they're there to try and say, like, if say like Steph tonight, she's guiding me in the direction as to where we're going with the conversation. That's almost like what a counsellor will do, and then if you diverge off, they don't necessarily bring you back, because that's just where your head's going. But it's just, they don't offer, it's not solutions, it's the wrong word, guidance on how to deal, which is kind of more CBT side of things again, but it's more, and excuse me using the word again, complex than just sitting there and having a conversation with somebody and then going off afterwards, right, this is stuff you need to do. It's not that simple. So a psychiatrist, that was the word, not a psychologist, psychiatrist, it was the word I was looking for somebody in my situation with my head, and quite possibly yourself, Steph, depends on how you're dealing at the moment.
Yeah.
Woo! Would benefit more from than just a counsellor.
Yeah.
That, which is why I'm reluctant to reach out to counsellors, because I'll just be doing the same stuff that I do with you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm unfortunate in my head that I've got the intelligence, not the intelligence, the knowledge to know what these different people do. So I'm fortunate, but unfortunate at the same time.
Because you see what
Whereas
they're doing.
people out there who haven't got a clue, it's a good starting block.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think I went through counselling a couple of years ago, and that helped, even though, because I've got a background in psychology, I saw what they were doing and I knew their techniques. But what I ended up having to do is kind of put that to the back of my head and just kind of go with it and actually just talk about it. And for me, that was the kind of biggest step in the right direction to get over this major kind of depression, anxiety side of things. And I think it's so brave of you being able to take that step and kind of sharing with us kind of what you've been going through and where your mental state is and all that. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so much better than I was. Huge amount better than I was. I mean, it's like Mickey tells everybody, I've known him for years. And you look at the difference between me when I met him and me now, and the bad period in between, it's I'm not a completely different person at all. I'm still me. I just probably am more real now than I ever was.
Right. Does anyone else have any kind of questions about kind of the depression, anxiety that Holly's been going through, or anything along those lines? Otherwise, I'm going to open up the floor. I'm going to open up the floor to more fun, yay questions before. Well, we've already been in
Yeah.
for nearly 2 hours now, so give it another 10 minutes.
Like I said, I'm good at talking.
Yeah.
Anybody think I could say it?
I think I saw a question earlier, if I remember this rightly, my short-term memory. So one thing that Lynn said is I still use the one she recommended, so I'm assuming that's the coloring app that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna shoot random questions now. Who is your hero?
Oh. My hero, probably my granddad.
Sweet.
I get a lot of my traits from him. I used to spend pretty much every waking hour with him. I mean, when I was in school, they'd pick us up from school because my mum didn't finish work till 5, and get out of the car, and I'd be straight in the garage with him. And yeah, he's just been the rock stone of my family. He's probably my hero.
So Bat is asking, does she feel guilty for reaching out? So I'm assuming this in regards to your kind of counselling and talking.
Not guilty, no. Restricted. It's probably more the thing. I don't feel guilty about reaching out or not reaching out. I'm glad I reached out when I did originally, because literally within 48 hours of me reaching out, I was talking with someone. So unfortunately, mental health services around the country aren't the same for everybody. I think I'm just quite fortunate with where I am in Gloucester, that they're pretty hot on it. So, but no, definitely don't feel guilty, but definitely feel restricted in the sense that I believe I know where I need to go with treatment. Ha! Tinnitus. Oh,
It's too much
hate it
of
when
hearing
that
my
hits.
voice.
Oh. But for the treatment that I feel that I need would cost me a fortune to get, and you can only get that sort of treatment on the NHS if you're that bad.
Yeah.
Or you get a referral. So there is a lot that needs to be done, and the NHS are doing a lot. So they've brought in IAPT, which is the... I can't remember what the I stands for, but it's access to psychological therapies is the APT. Basically, they've put things in place around the country so that people have got more access for their initial help.
Yeah.
So, and it can be done on a self-referral basis. You don't need to speak to a GP about it. You just type in IAPT on Google and you can find that.
So Butta's saying, I feel I'm pestering my friends.
I used to.
Just
Used to. Don't anymore. Because my friends are now people who either have been through, are going through, and understand. And if your friends truly are your friends, it won't be bothering them in the slightest.
not at all. Exactly.
So you don't know
Right.
unless you try.
If you had to choose one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Lasagna. That was easy.
Simple.
Lasagna. Straight off the bounce.
Lasagna, that was an easy one. Here, I thought you
No
were gonna
arguments on that
think for
one.
a while.
Lasagna, garlic bread and chips. And some salad.
What's your most embarrassing nickname and why? You're welcome,
Oh
Bud.
no! I was hoping you wouldn't ask that one.
Haha. Hi, Steffi.
All I am going to say on this one is there's only one person or two people in my life that have ever been allowed to use this. So nobody else is actually ever allowed to use this, and that's through out of respect to these two men. One of them being my granddad and one of them being my great uncle. My great uncle, basically, he was in the TA and then he was our chef on our cadet weekends and things like that. So all this kind of malarkey. So I was really close with him and my granddad. And it's Prickles.
Prickles.
My great uncle gave me that nickname pretty much just as I was born, after I was given my actual name. Hollie
Oh,
Prickles.
that's very
And he
sweet.
called me Prickles all the time. And then my granddad did as well. And the only other person that I allowed to is my second cousin Beverly. That was my great uncle's daughter.
Mm.
So yeah, that's
Oh,
my most embarrassing nickname.
that's very
But
cute.
on a sideline with that one, I love my great uncle. He taught me to say one of my first words. Guess what that might be? Bugger.
Bugger. That's very
So I
Cornish.
was sat there in the trolley, going around the supermarket, pointing at everybody, calling them a bugger. Bugger, 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 bugger.
Amazing.
I know, right?
Um, what's another one here for you? I've actually covered some of them. Hey.
Ooh.
What's one of your proudest achievements to date?
Actually reaching out for help. Apart from all my sports stuff. Oh, and actually, what that picture there is showing behind me. No! Oh my God!
Right.
My London marathons.
There we go.
2 London
See,
marathons, 2 years on the trot, no training for either of them.
see, and you've got a lot more proudest moments than you thought you do. I know it's hard
Yeah.
sometimes to kind of think of it, but hey,
Now
there
I
you
went to
go.
that, and then I thought charity, and I went, woo! That, by the way, which you can't see, I did one of these 8 weeks boxing training things for cancer research, and that's my fight photos up there, basically.
That's
And I won.
amazing. Woo.
Nearly knocked her out.
Um,
He had to stop it in the second round.
Whoops. So guys, while I'm asking my kind of last question, do ask anything you'd like to for Hollie, because we're going to slowly kind of start shutting this down now, as we've been talking your ear off for the last 2 hours.
Yeah, we've both got work tomorrow.
Yeah. So one of my questions that I like asking everyone is, what's one piece of advice that you would give anyone that you feel is so important to you?
Just be you. Just be you. And not for anybody else, for yourself.
Exactly.
Took me a long time to learn that, so I stick by that.
That's amazing. So I'm going to give it a couple more moments, if anyone else wants to ask any questions. Sorry, I like using my hands when I talk, as people may notice. Just to let you know, next Sunday we are live with the battered sausage, so Stu, and Ben will be doing the questions. So we got a question here from Bax.
Mm-hmm.
What's your goal for the future?
My goal for the future. This is going to sound really cheesy and pathetic, but to be happy. So that's my mental goal. My goal for the future is to make a difference in somebody's life.
I like that. Right. So there's a lady over here called Steffi, not me, another Steffi. She says good advice, and please say I said that.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad. That's all I'm here for.
So again, guys, thanks for kind of joining the live. And as I said, we've got the battered sausage. So Stu, who's going to be joining Ben next Sunday. I think we're doing on the 7th.
That's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. Yes, 7 p.m. Is it Saturday? We're doing
Saturday night.
Saturday night. We're doing a girls' night, quiz night. It's going to be myself as quiz master. Crap, I forgot that. I'm going to come up with more questions now. And it's going to be Shell versus Lynn. So we're going to have a
I'll be in the chat. I will be in the chat.
Will be in chat. So we're going to have a lovely ladies' night next Saturday at 8. Sunday at 7, it's Stu. And then the week after that is going to be my QA, which the lovely Shell will be asking the questions.
And I believe we may have another live next weekend, but it might not be a quiz. But we'll have more details to follow on that one.
Exactly. So we've got a lovely little program.
Guess what? The week after that, guess what?
What?
Boys' night.
Oh yeah, there will be a boys' night, ladies and gentlemen. Just a heads up.
We thought it was only fair.
You know, if the girls have a girls' night, the boys can have their boys' night.
That means I can be a token boy.
I like Butter's reaction. No.
Yeah, no. See, if I'm a token boy, then I can go in there and beat them all again.
Evil plans. Anyhow.
Yes.
Well, I think everyone's going to be joining the boys' night somehow.
Giving them the wrong answers.
Exactly. Right, so this is my first time kind of wrapping up an official Mickey's Army live. Ooh, the pressure. I guess first and foremost, I just want to let you guys know, if you are struggling, kind of going through a hard time, Mickey's Army is here for you. We're a shoulder to lean on and an ear to listen. So if you do want to get in touch with us, if you go to our link tree, which is on both Mickey's Army, both main account and back up, and go to our website and use the contact page. If there's someone particularly that you want to talk to, just mention that in the email or note that you submit on the website.
It tells them on the web page, so mention it in the subject line who you want to talk to, and go from there.
And we'll pick it up. But we're always here. Always reach out, and welcome to come to any of our lives and have a bit of a laugh, banter, and kind of get to know us. So
Indeed.
thank you all for joining and getting to know our lovely Hollie. I don't know which side of the screen. You're this side to me.
Other side to me.
There we go.
So you're there to me.
There we go. I feel like we're going opposite. It's opposite of me that way.
Because you always appear on the left of your own.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why.
So Lynn's saying well done, Hollie, and well done, Steph. And Betta's saying well done. Thank you, ladies, for your support. I really appreciate you guys being here. And again, reach out to us if you do want to have a chat.
Big hugs.
Big hugs. And good luck good luck for your upcoming week. I know we're all going back to work from tomorrow, most of us. So good luck. Enjoy.
My teeth look really white tonight.
Is it the teeth whitening?
No, I haven't got the filter on.
Oh, there we go.
I got little teeth,
and that's
big gums.
And that's a note we're going to leave on with Hollie. She's got white teeth.
They're not if you're close enough.
Thanks, Beth.
Love you all. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thanks
for listening on our waffle.
Have a lovely evening, guys. Take care.
Bye all.
Bye.